The moment the headline began circulating, it sent shockwaves through social media, newsrooms, and royal watching circles around the world. Two words that feel heavy, final, almost unbearable. Especially when they are used to describe the relationship between two brothers who once seemed inseparable. Prince William and Prince Harry were never just an heir and a spare. They were two boys who walked behind their mother's coffin together, two young men who leaned on one another through unimaginable grief. Two brothers who once promised the world, and perhaps each other, that they would always face the future side by side. That image now collides with a very different reality. And according to multiple sources close to the royal family, the distance between them is no longer merely emotional or physical. It is permanent. To understand how things reached this point, it's necessary to rewind to a time when William and Harry were viewed as the future of the monarchy together. For years, they were presented as a powerful duo, modern, relatable, united. Their public appearances were filled with shared laughter, private jokes, and an unspoken understanding that only siblings shaped by the same trauma could share. The death of Princess Diana didn't just define their childhoods, it bonded them in a way few could ever truly understand. Insiders often described Harry as the emotional heart and William as the steady anchor, each balancing the other. This dynamic made their partnership compelling and, for many, reassuring. A monarchy that had struggled with relevance suddenly felt human again, but behind the smiles and carefully staged moments, cracks were already forming. Sources say that even before Meghan Markle entered the picture, there were deep differences in how the brothers viewed their roles, their futures, and the institution they were born into. William, as the future king, was raised with an unshakable sense of duty and long-term responsibility. Every decision was filtered through the lens of legacy, tradition, and stability. Harry, by contrast, often felt like the outsider looking in, fiercely loyal, yet increasingly frustrated, trapped by rules he didn't create in a hierarchy he could never escape. Those differences didn't immediately tear them apart, but they quietly laid the groundwork for resentment. When Meghan Markle came into Harry's life, everything accelerated. According to royal insiders, William's concerns about the pace of the relationship were genuine, but they were received very differently by Harry. What William believed was brotherly caution felt to Harry like judgment, like a lack of support. The more William tried to slow things down, the more Harry felt compelled to defend his partner, and by extension his own independence. Friends close to the brothers say this period marked the first real fracture. Conversations became tense, trust began to erode. From that point forward, disagreements no longer resolved fears, they reinforced them. Publicly, the royal family insisted that everything was fine. Joint appearances continued, smiles were exchanged. Statements emphasized unity. Privately, communication reportedly deteriorated. Text messages went unanswered. Phone calls became shorter, less frequent. William felt increasingly shut out. Harry felt increasingly misunderstood. This wasn't just about Meghan or the press. It was about two brothers realizing they no longer recognized each other's priorities. Where William saw compromise as necessary for survival, Harry saw silence as complicity. The decision by Harry and Meghan to step back from royal duties marked the moment everything changed permanently. Sources describe it as a seismic shock to William, not only as a brother but as a future king. He reportedly felt blindsided, believing such a monumental decision should have involved deeper family discussion. Harry, however, believed he had already explained himself countless times without ever being truly heard. This difference in perception lies at the heart of the conflict. Both brothers believed they were abandoned by the other. William felt Harry walked away from shared duty. Harry felt William chose the institution over their bond. As the years passed, the gap only widened. The Oprah interview became a turning point that insiders say William will never fully forgive. From his perspective, deeply personal family matters were aired publicly, damaging not just relationships, but the monarchy itself. Harry, meanwhile, believed he was finally reclaiming his voice, telling his truth after years of silence. What one brother saw as betrayal, the other saw as survival. Then came the memoir. Every page, every anecdote, every revelation added another layer of pain. Sources close to William say he was particularly hurt by the reframing of private childhood moments. To him, those memories belonged to them alone. To Harry, they were part of healing. William reportedly felt exposed, angry, and deeply disappointed. Harry believed honesty was the only way forward. By then, communication was nearly non-existent. Conversations, if they happened at all, were limited to formalities. Now sources are using language that feels chillingly final beyond repair. Not because the brothers are constantly fighting, but because they have emotionally disengaged. There is no active effort to mend things, no quiet negotiations behind palace walls. William has reportedly accepted that Harry is no longer part of his inner circle. Harry has built a new life that does not include regular contact with his family. Both have moved on. But the cost is the loss of a relationship that once meant everything. What makes this story so compelling is not that it involves royalty, but that it is deeply human. Sibling relationships are fragile, especially when layered with power, expectation, and relentless public scrutiny. Every misunderstanding was amplified, every private pain dissected. The pressure didn't just strain their bond, it reshaped it into something unrecognizable. As the distance grew, silence replaced confrontation. There were no dramatic arguments caught on camera. No explosive public clashes. Instead, there was something quieter and more damaging: emotional withdrawal. William stopped reaching out, not because he didn't care, but because every attempt felt futile. Harry believed communication would only lead to further misunderstanding or manipulation by systems he no longer trusted. This mutual retreat created a vacuum where reconciliation might once have lived. Family events, funerals, jubilees, coronations highlighted the divide rather than healed it. Carefully choreographed interactions replaced genuine connection. Cameras captured glances and distance, but insiders say the real story unfolded off-screen. No late-night conversations. No breakthroughs, just restraint. For William, one of the deepest pains is the belief that Harry no longer understands the weight he carries. His life is mapped decades in advance. His choices ripple far beyond personal emotion. Those close to him say he feels misunderstood, reduced to an institution rather than a brother. For Harry, the pain manifests differently. Friends say he feels written off, reduced to a problem rather than a person. From his perspective, stepping away was an act of self-preservation. Instead of understanding, he felt judged. Over time, that rejection turned into resignation. Advisors, aides, and media narratives have only reinforced the divide. William's circle emphasizes discretion and continuity. Harry's prioritizes openness and boundaries. Neither is wrong, but together they create parallel realities that rarely intersect. Trust, once broken, requires vulnerability to rebuild. And vulnerability is something neither brother feels safe offering. Time, insiders say, has not softened this rift. It has solidified it. Both men have built lives that function without the other. William has immersed himself in duty. Harry has built a new identity abroad. Their paths cross only when protocol demands it. Those close to King Charles are reportedly saddened but realistic. Mediation has been minimal, not from indifference, but from the understanding that forced reconciliation could cause more harm. Public opinion remains divided. Some side with William, others with Harry. This polarization mirrors the brothers themselves. Perhaps the most tragic element is that this is not a story of indifference. It is a story of unresolved hurt. Memories still surface, shared grief, childhood laughter, but those memories now bring sadness rather than comfort. When sources say beyond repair, they don't necessarily mean hatred. They mean acceptance that the relationship they once had no longer exists, and that trying to resurrect it might only reopen wounds. The story continues quietly. Two brothers living parallel lives, bound by blood, divided by values, watched by the world. And perhaps the most heartbreaking truth is this: the question is no longer whether they will reconcile, but whether they even want to. What remains is loss, not loud, not dramatic, just settled and final.